Just gonna, members, I think we have remote. We have one remote testifier, so if you please, you can always log on to our Zoom and let folks see your face. But I am going to call this meeting to order this morning. It is March 16th, 2023. It is 8:37, and this is the Minnesota Education Finance Committee. We are going to make just a little bit of a change in our schedule. I'm going to present first, and then when our Senator Umu Verbaden arrives, it's her birthday, by the way, everybody. She's going to present after I will, and then we'll hear from Senator Champion on Erin's law, and then finally we will finish with Senator Farnsworth, 2392. So I'm going to ask Senator Westland to come over and take over for me. Just want to get her on the Zoom.
Good morning, Senator Kunesh. I understand that you are bringing forward Senate File Number 620, and would you like to make a motion regarding this bill?
So moved, Madam Chair.
And this is going to be laid over for possible inclusion in the omnibus bill.
Yes.
All right, Senator. Well, can you briefly introduce your bill for us?
Sure. So this is Senate File 620. It's a pilot program to improve educational outcomes and accountability. It's meant to be a way to redesign some of our performance frameworks in high school so that we can see those outcomes for our kids of color. I'm going to just go through it a little bit real quick. The first part, subdivision 1, requires a department to establish a pilot program to redesign those frameworks for high schools that will improve educational outcomes for students of color starting in year 23-24. And then it creates these performance measures that are equity focused in a framework that would include various measures and descriptions such as enrollment data, basic needs support provided by the schools, data on number of students who receive social, emotional, and mental health support, instruction provided by the school, and cultural and real-life relevant curriculum provided by the school. We know that our kids are really suffering. We know that there is a rise in the social, emotional, and the mental health needs in our schools, but I don't know that we have really tangible evidence. So those performance measures are really important. And we don't know what we can do to make the difference if we don't have some kind of report. So subdivision 3 requires the commissioner to submit a report to the legislative committees with jurisdiction over kindergarten through grade 12, detailing effectiveness of the first year of the pilot program and recommendations for improvement. We don't expect perfection the first time around. As an educator of many years, we perfect our curriculum, we differentiate with our students, we adjust the information and the approach that we use. And so it's not that we're looking for perfection those first years, but how we can improve and provide the services that our students need. We have an appropriation it's an open appropriation, and I'm not sure if our staff has an idea of what it might just wait a minute, here we go. Got it. So this project has the expenditures. There would be $15,000 for the project management. There would be $10,000 for students, staff, family, guardian, community partner surveys. The framework data is at $38,000. Pilot reporting, so after 2 years of the framework, framework data and contract goal, $10,000. Technology and access, which would cover online convenings, focus groups, individual interviews, accessibility needs is at $8,000. Participant stipends for our focus groups, individual interviews and reporting review is $8,000. And then the Pillsbury United staff time would be about $15,000 for a total of, along with the administration fees of 15% and MDE's administration, we expect that the total annual expense would be approximately $150,000 per year. That is my bill.
Thank you, Senator Kunesh. I appreciate that. And I understand that we have one testifier. It looks like Larry McKenzie is here in person. Please join us. And Mr. McKenzie, if you can identify yourself for the record and provide your presentation, and then if you could also sign in on the sheet after you're done. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Larry McKenzie. I'm the interim director at Pillsbury Office of Public Charter Schools. And Madam Chair and members, my name again is Larry McKenzie. I'm the interim director of the Office of Public Charter Schools at Pillsbury United Community. Pillsbury United Communities is a 145-year-old nonprofit organization that operates 4 community centers and 6 social enterprises in Minneapolis and has a regional impact. Our office serves as a public charter school authorizer. We partner with 18 schools across the metro and greater Minnesota, serving more than 9,000 students. We would like to thank Senator Kunesh for her leadership and boldness in championing Senate File 620. At Pillsbury United Community, we have spent the past 2 years investing nearly $300,000 in developing a grounds-up accountability framework that is built for and designed by students, family, educators, and the community we serve. At Pillsbury United Communities, we engage with our ultimate authority, our community, to identify what they believe are the most critical measures a school should be held accountable for in providing to our students. This is a credible, rigorous, and valid reporting mechanism because we did the work. We talked to our community, and from these conversations with hundreds of stakeholders, we develop a framework that lives in the legislation before you today. During our pilot phase, similarly to World's Best Workforce, the applicable high schools will still have to administer the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment, which will be posted and available on the MDE report card. However, moving forward, this bill allows the schools and us to focus on accountability measures that have been identified as needed by our students, families, and communities. Additionally, the appropriation included in this legislation would essentially match our investment in developing the framework to this point. The $300,000 we're requesting would allow us to complete the implementation phase of the pilot and fine-tune the data we collect and evaluate from our schools. We are ready to submit whatever reporting is needed to be held accountable to our measures that matter most to our students, families, and community. Thank you, Madam Chair and members, for your consideration of Senate File 620, and I urge you to support this innovative way to bring more meaningful school accountabilities intended to improve student outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. McKenzie. Are there any other public testifiers who wish to testify on this bill? I do not see any additional testifiers. Any questions, members? Senator Rarick. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question then. with the $300,000, how many students do you figure you would be able to engage or have participation in through this pilot program?
So we have 8 high schools that this would be effective with. And so without having the enrollment in front of me, but I would say our largest high school has about 4,000 students, so roughly about 5,000 students.
Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Madam Chair, for the bill. Just several questions here. First is on line 1.10 in describing the establishment of the pilot program. It says the pilot program must engage students, which I think is pretty obvious who that is, families, I presume might be families of the students, but then it says community leaders. So how does one know, what is the criteria for a community leader when developing this?
So for us, the criteria would be leaders within the communities of the students that we serve. So nonprofit organization, businesses, people that live and work within the community of our student populations.
Are you a follow-up, Senator?
Yep, waiting for you to recognize me.
Sorry, no, and I was trying to get the cue of whether
Yep.
you were done or not.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so it's going to be, okay, I read that as individuals, but it sounds like you're saying it could be entities, nonprofits, businesses, et cetera. So perhaps there's an opportunity for a little bit more clarity there on exactly who you're targeting to get a voice and opinion and thoughts as developing this pilot program. Just a suggestion is, I don't know if this was what the action was. Are we laying this over? Is this being moved on? So we're laying it over. Okay. So just some feedback there, potentially, again, opportunity to clarify that. Then the next one is when I'm looking at line 2.6, can you just help bring some clarity? What does culturally and real life relevant, what does that mean?
Senator or Mr. McKenzie?
I'll start with that one. I think culturally means it means the discussion and the input of the culture of the students and the communities in the state of Minnesota. So I'm going to assume you're wearing green because it's almost St. Patrick's Day. We might talk about, St. Patrick's Day and what that means to the community at large, if it's even relevant to that community. If we have a strong diversity in our classroom or in our school, we're going to be talking, or they'll be talking about or looking at how history and how the culture of today has affected them or can move them on to the healthy, happy life that they want. And what was the other, what number is that?
Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is on line 2.6. It's
2.6,
culturally
okay.
and real life relevant. So
Right.
I guess I'm trying to think, what's the opposite of that? How does one know when developing this? How does one know that they're satisfying this criteria? So culturally and real life relevant, to help understand what that is, what's the opposite? What would be culturally and real life irrelevant? I'm trying to think of what the opposite of that would be in order to understand what this is.
So the way that...
Mr. McKenzie. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
So the way that I would explain that, and when we're talking about culturally and relevant, is what for this group of schools, 8 kids, the culture and diversity of those communities, and having discussions about what's current and relevant things that are going on in their community, right, as part of the evaluation process. And this could include a variety of things beyond the diversity. We could be talking about homeless issues. We can be talking about things that are currently going on in the community, those kind of, that is what that is speaking to.
Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so that and I'm just thoughts as I'm reading this language here. So it's going to be the Department of Education that's establishing this pilot program. and it's the Department of Education, then that's going to be, if I'm understanding the language correctly, that's going to be designing the performance framework for the high schools. So if it's the Department of Education that's doing this, are they going to have the ability then to, because, again, I think culture is a very loose word. It's a very loose word because there's a culture in Minnesota, but then there are other cultures that are obviously, there's a culture that describes Minnesota as a whole, but then you have different subgroups that have their own cultures, such as immigrants, et cetera. So how is the Department of Education going to be able to go across the state with our 330 plus school districts and be able to capture the real life relevant and cultural in those areas that are across the state, which may be vastly different than here in St. Paul? And again, I'm trying to figure out how is the Department of Education going to be able to capture this across the state for these different cultural areas?
Senator Kunesh or Mr. McKenzie, go ahead.
So, Senator, this bill is designed to be an interim pilot program, evaluation program for 8 schools in the Pillsbury United Community Office of Public Charter Schools portfolio. The Minnesota Department of Education will provide oversight, and so it wouldn't be relevant to the whole state. What this is an opportunity to pilot a program to look at how this group of kids who are being served with hopes in 2 years of, it's an alternative evaluation to what currently exists in the world's best workforce. And the idea is to look at this pilot program as an alternative to see what the data says that might be beneficial at some point to all schools in the state of Minnesota. But right now, it's a control group of schools that we would be working with.
Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate that clarity because I do see that now on line 3.5 that you are specifically referencing for a grant to the Pillsbury United Communities to collaborate with the Department of Education. So that's where you're bringing the narrow down to those to 8 specific schools. Okay, thank you.
Senator Kroon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are lots of measurements and descriptions that are required in this bill, starting on lines, 1.16 all the way through 2.20. There's a whole list of measurements, descriptions, and I understand the framework would be created by the Department of Education, but who actually goes and does the work to assemble all of this information? Are there people actually in the schools observing and describing and measuring, or are these mandates onto these school districts to do this work, or how does that functionally work?
Senator Kunesh or Mr. McKenzie, either one.
Okay. So the way this work is, the framework is actually, we've spent the last 2 years working on developing the framework at Pillsbury United Community, using our resources and outside expertise to develop the framework. MDE will be a partner in this evaluation process, but it is Pillsbury United Community Office of Public Charter Schools staff, along with outside consultants, that would be doing this evaluation work.
Senator Kroon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Pillsbury United staff and outside sort of contractors,
Yes, sir.
are they actually going to be physically present, go into our schools to make these measurements, do these descriptions? What kind of access do they have to the teachers? How does this actually work at the school level?
Mr. McKenzie.
Well, Senator, we have already started to do this work, and the contractors in conjunction with our staff have gone into schools and visited the schools. So there's a variety of ways that this evaluation will be done through staff surveys, parent surveys, student surveys, as well as in-person evaluation of this group of 8 schools.
Senator Kroon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that response. There's, in my view, a whole host of subjectivity littered throughout this bill. A lot of undefined terms. I could walk through them all, but I won't do that right now. You know, describe this, measure that, and it's a litany of subjective terms. So I take it it's going to be Pillsbury United staff and these unidentified outside contractors that are going to be making those subjective decisions as to what meets these undefined terms and what doesn't. Do I have that right?
Yes, sir.
Senator Kroon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My concern with that, I think, should be obvious, but I'll say it anyway. I mean, if you're putting a report together based on subjective terms, you're going to get the report you want. You're going to measure and describe the things that you subjectively feel should be measured and described, and I just think that that's a recipe for disaster. I think this could be wholly politicized. That's my take on it. I think it will be politicized. I think it's to gather data so that you all can come back to the legislature and provide justification for other bills and other measurements and other mandates that you want to see happen. So I think this is a very bad idea. Strongly urge a no vote on this bill, and that's my comments. Thank you.
Senator Swedzinski, did you have?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Kunesh, for bringing this bill forward. I know that you and I will be receiving by July 1st, 2024, the results of collecting this data. And on line 116, I just want to see more with number of schools attended. That data that just is such a depressing concept that kids are going to 3 or 4 schools because they just are bouncing around, and I don't know how you can have stability when families are just upended from school district to school district. So I'm really looking forward to that particular bit of information being disaggregated from the survey. And on a fun fact that people don't know about me, my grandparents, when they came to America, they changed their name from Leibovitz to Lebo, and Senator Locero's family changed their name from O. Locero to Locero when they came to America. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Thank you. Any comments from either of you regarding Senator Swedzinski's comments?
Just that I too look forward to hearing the results of that. I think it's really important that we look outside some of the traditional ways of accountability and recognize that our students come in a lot of different packages from a lot of different life experiences, and sometimes they don't perform the way we always want them to perform on the standardized way of evaluation. And I've been familiar with this program for a couple of years now. I've been very impressed with the work that they've done. They've worked very hard with MDE to make sure that that framework really does do the work that we need and collects the data and provides the accountability that we expect in our schools. And so with that, members, I would ask for your full support on this bill 620.
Thank you. Senator Gustafson, did you have some brief remarks as well?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a question, but now the author has made her final statement, so I feel bad. Sorry. I just was going to point out one thing that I heard earlier is that the subjectivity of it. And I understand that that is something that some members are concerned about. As I look through this, though, there are plenty of objective things that were going to be calculated. To say, like, measure the number and percentage of students provided opportunities for career exploration and preparation. That's a hard number that we can collect with data. Measuring the number and percentage of students participating in at least one extracurricular activity. That's not a subjective number. That's hard data that we can look at. And it's important because sometimes data tells a story. It might not be a story that everybody likes to hear, but it's still data that is objective and studied and measured. So I just wanted to make sure that that's understood, what this is actually asking for and what information will be taken. Thank you.
Senator Crewen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just take this as a quick opportunity to respond. I think the extracurricular activity is the one objective standard in here. I would dispute that opportunities provided is objective at all. It's entirely subjective. What is an opportunity? What does that mean? What might be an opportunity to one person is not an opportunity to another person. And so that, to me, is not objective. So I felt the need to respond to that.
Senator Gustafson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The line that you're talking about on extracurricular activities says the measure the number and percentage of students participating in at least one extracurricular activity. It doesn't mention opportunity. I know that's in here in other places, but again, like, that's a hard fact. It's objective. It is what it is. So thank you.
Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm looking at line 2.11. Measure the number and percentage of students provided opportunities for student career exploration and preparation. Right now, I can, even without the study, I can tell you it's 100%. 100% of the students in the state of Minnesota have the opportunity to provide career exploration. I think that's what Senator Crewen is trying to point out here, is that this is a very subjective term, filled bill. And I've said the phrase that I did not come up with, but I've said it over and over in my time here in the legislature. If you torture the data long enough, it'll confess to anything. And I think Senator Crewen also pointed out accurately that this is going to be a template to manipulate and engineer the data, given the subjectivity, to tell the story that is intended or wanted to be told. You can torture the data long enough and it'll confess to whatever narrative is attempting to be pushed here. And so, yes, it is very subjective, and I share the concerns that have been expressed. Thank you.
So I'm just going to take a very brief moment, and then Senator Kunesh, I will allow you to respond, or Mr. McKenzie, if there's anything you feel the need to respond to. I would just simply say that we're talking about a pilot program that is looking at, as I understand it, engaging students who may not currently be engaged in the programming that is available to them in their schools because they are not reflected in that programming. I'm pretty sure we know what cultural and real-life experience are, real-life relevant curriculums are, because we do it now. It's just, it's limited to a particular culture and particular life experiences. And when you have a school that perhaps is predominantly students of color, the curriculum should mean something to them. And it should speak to their experiences. So I don't think there's any ambiguity here. And I will let you have the last word, but I think that if our goal is to teach students, to engage them, and to help them become lifelong learners, we want their learning to be meaningful and not simply teaching to a test. Senator Kunesh, any last words?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. I really want to.
Senator Umu Verbatim, you're going to have the last word, and then we're going to let Senator Kunesh have the last word.
I really want to allow Senator Kunesh to have the last word, but I just wanted to thank her for her leadership. I'm just really grateful how you've run this committee, and I just feel your commitment to ensuring that students of color succeed in this state. And we have the worst racial disparities in the country. And I've seen the focus in variety of bills that you're carrying. I see this as no different, and just have immense faith in you to bring forward the experts that we need, try these pilot programs, just put the energy there to say this is not okay. We have to do something about this, and we have to put the students first. So I really appreciate you bringing forward this bill, and I just wanted to say that before you get to have your final words. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Kunesh, would you like to have some final words and then renew your motion?
Yes, thank you. You know, we do have to change things up a little bit in our school, in the way we are addressing the education of our students and sometimes how we assess. And this is one way that we can look at a different way to assess the success of our students because it looks different. I find it disrespectful that anybody would insinuate that that this pilot program or the people that are going to be participating in it would take the data and skew it for their own success. I don't quite understand why people would do that. And I know that anybody could do that. In any of the bills that we bring forward, we could say that. And so to insinuate this, I think, is extremely disrespectful. And if that's the way that our legislators on the other side are going to look at all of this legislation, then I would ask them to please look in a different view. And if they have those kind of opinions, they can come talk to me or they can talk to the organizations. But to put it out there in that way is very disingenuous and disrespectful. Members, I ask to renew my motion to pass this on for possible inclusion, and I will not take any more comments or questions.
Thank you, Senator Kunesh. This bill is going to be laid over for possible inclusion in a future omnibus bill. And do I hit the gavel? And then my understanding is that Senator Champion is going to present his bill, and I have kept your chair warm for you, Senator Kunesh. You may resume your position of leadership in this committee.
We're definitely going to get a vote, right? We're going to ask for a vote. Okay, never mind. It's perfect time for a Republican and a Democrat to be up here together.
Senator Champion, Senate File 1981. And I'm not sure, do you have an amendment or not?
I don't have an amendment right now, but it would be an oral amendment that I will make. And Madam Chair, the oral amendment is just because of talking to other, groups, just wanted to make sure that the language is clear. But pretty much the essence of the bill is clear. And I'm happy that I have someone joining me at the table here today. So that's always a wonderful thing. So whenever you're ready for us to start, Madam Chair, we'll certainly do that.
Senator Farnsworth, would you like to make the motion to move Senate File 1981?
Yeah, I haven't done this before, so do I just say yes? Yes,
So
Madam
moved.
Chair.
Thank you. All right, Senator Champion, why don't you go ahead and explain your bill to us?
So thank you so much. Senate File 1981, we've called it Erin's Law, because Erin Law, Minnesota tells children if someone is touching them in a private area to tell a trusted adult. That's really what it's about. If they are telling them to keep that a secret, it is an unsafe secret, and to tell a trusted adult. So 9 out of 10 kids don't tell when being sexually abused. This allows the abuser to repeatedly abuse some children. This allows the pedophile, in some cases, to have multiple victims. And some children are repeatedly sexually abused, go on to become abusers. And this creates what we understand to be a silent epidemic. So pedophiles and sexual predators will revolve their lives around having access to children. They are participating in grooming of children and the parents. And it's believed that some pedophiles have roughly 200 to 300 victims in their lifetime. And we know this because they take pictures and they document their abuse. So Minnesota must change that. This bill is pretty simple, but we want to make sure that it is something that requires every district to at least have something around it. Some districts are already doing something, like for an example, in their health class, they might already be doing something. This is not a curriculum, it is something that could happen even at an assembly. And that assembly, we're asking for it to be at least 1 hour per year, once a year, just to say, and just to go through or provide information to kids about what sexual abuse looks like, what it may potentially feel like, but also say that there is a trusting and safe adult around if you want to and need to talk about it. And clearly, if a school is not doing anything on this topic, then the low bar is that they must present personal body safety for children for 1 hour a year, as I stated, and this can be held in open assembly. This information can come from the Department of Education to the superintendents, then to the schools in a PowerPoint, or one person could read the information and present it in open assembly or even in small groups. The whole idea is that we believe that children deserve to have a vocabulary to describe abuse, such as he touched me in a private area, or she, whatever it is, but that there is an opportunity to respond. And so we know that this law is passed in other places, and so again, I want to reiterate, this is not a curriculum. This is not a curriculum. It is a personal body safety, sexual abuse prevention information opportunity, which is safety information, like a fire drill or tornado drill. That's what it's about. No child is ever tested or graded on it, so we don't have to worry about that, especially for, teachers. And we think that it should start in September of 2023. And we think that this is a bipartisan issue. It's not partisan. It's something that we all should do because we care about our kids. So with that being stated, we ask that this committee, it's my understanding that this may be laid over for possible inclusion, is my understanding. And so we hope that you will include it along with an oral amendment that I'd like to make to the bill.
To your oral amendment, Senator.
So it looks like on lines 2.21, we'd like to put a period after year. So it should stay, all grades, kindergarten through 12th grade must present information for at least 1 hour per year, period. The only reason why, and then strike the language after that all the way through 2.24, where it's the first period. The only reason why we're striking that language is because in the statute, it already talks about personal touch and things that should happen. Because if you go to the statute, which is 120B, subdivision 1D, it already has this language in there already that talks about child sexual abuse prevention instruction may include age-appropriate instructions on recognizing sexual abuse and assault, boundary violations, and others. We just did not want to confuse the language, so that's why we would put a period there. And the other changes on 2.32, so strike Erin's law and just say for implementing this pursuant to, section 120B.021. That reference to the statute can stay because it's already here. That's the very statute that we're talking about. That's what I think, but I would certainly yield to council if they think a different way this should be handled.
Council, any questions?
Madam Chair and members, I'm thinking might need to keep on 2.21, keep the on personal body safety, just so it's clear what the information is that needs to be presented. Other than that, I think the oral amendment as stated by Senator Champion is okay.
Senator Champion, how do you feel about that?
Sounds good to me.
All right, would you please read for us then the amendment, the oral amendment as stated?
Madam Chair and members, on line 2.21, after safety, insert a period. Then line 2.22 and 2.23, delete those lines. And then on 2.24, delete unsafe secrets. On line 2.32, delete Erin's law under.
Members, did everyone get that? All in favor of that oral amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the amendment is taken. Senator, oh,
So we can go to this wonderful senator. I just wanted to say thank you for making that change.
Senator Farnsworth, you had something to say.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee, and thank you, Senator Champion, for allowing me to join you today. There are a couple of things that I would like to talk about in regards to this bill. First of all, this is not an unfunded mandate. We are providing $1 per student per year. I'm not sure if this is in the form of a grant or just an appropriation, but as this committee has heard me beat up on grants all the time, I just want to point out that it is money directly going to the schools that they don't have to ask for. So many people know that I previously worked for the Department of Corrections, and I taught down in Red Wing, where there's a sex offender unit. And what I learned down there in teaching the boys that were in the sex offender unit is that every single one of them had been sexually abused. And as they got older, they then, of course, continued that pattern that they had learned. And so I think it's important for us to address this. Some people look at this and say, well, why do we do it, from such a young age to an old age? Kids start learning these behaviors very young. In fact, I've had students in other parts of my career that were removed from the home because it was found out that they were being sexually abused as young as first grade, which I think is the most horrific thing you can think of. And we might think that older students know, hey, I should tell somebody if this is happening to me, but I know of a story of an 8th grade student who was being sexually abused by a family member for years. She went to the health class. The health teacher happened, to be talking about this and mention, if this is happening to you, you should tell somebody. And it actually, the light bulb went off. She's like, yeah, I don't have to deal with this. And she told somebody, and it was sort of a big deal. They found out there was a lot more victims. And so I think this is, I think, an unspoken epidemic. It's very uncomfortable. People don't like to talk about sexual abuse, but this is something that I think we need to talk about because, kids need to be able to advocate for themselves. So I'm proud to be on this bill, and so this is one of the very few mandates that you will see that I will say, yes, this is something that we should be doing in our schools.
Thank you, Senator Farnsworth. And then April, Ms. Kane, would you like to introduce yourself, and then you can share what you'd like to say?
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. My name is April Kane. I'm a citizen advocate. I was sexually abused, and I'm a survivor. I was sexually abused by my father from a very young age. I was being sexually abused in pre-kindergarten. I additionally was abused I had a pedophile that lived across the street from me. I didn't know that. The building that I lived in, the door very often was broken and didn't lock. And my mother allowed me to go into the basement, which was the laundry room, to play by myself, where I was raped by the man who lived across the street. I came upstairs to my apartment, and my mother could see that I was upset, but I had no language of any kind to describe abuse. So she said, "You're not allowed to go into the laundry room anymore." It was never mentioned again. I didn't tell anyone until I was 53 years old in a hearing in the House. This is a very important bill. It'll be one of the most important bills that any legislator works on in their entire life, I believe, and it's been very successful. A similar bill has been passed in 38 states. It's introduced in every single state in the country, and eventually every single state will pass a bill like this. And in the year 1985, I had an article published on these topics. where it says that research-based, evidence-based, age-appropriate, there's much known about this. Sexual abuse is very expensive and prevention is much better. And if you care about children, this is a very important bill, and I ask you to pass this unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kane, and thank you for your continued advocacy. I've seen you here at the Capitol every year that I have served here since 2017. And your persistence and the retelling of your story has to be very, very hard, as many of us are victims of abuse, sexual abuse. And abuse comes in a lot of different forms. There's verbal abuse, there's physical abuse, there's emotional abuse. There are so many ways that that our kids, that are members in our society, are manipulated or abused. And it's so important that we give that message to our students, to our children, that they should speak up when they know it. As a teacher, for all those years, I have probably 2 handfuls of stories when a teacher, as myself, just sort of, something's off with this child. Something's just not quite right. They come in, that maybe they're withdrawn, or they're agitated, or they're acting out, or they say little bits and pieces, and it makes you wonder. And I remember when I was a 6th grade classroom teacher, we had the unit on, the body and the functions of the body, and we were talking about reproductive processes and things like that. And about 2 weeks after we finished that, one of the young girls came to me, and she said, "You said, if anyone ever bothers you, you should tell somebody. Well, so-and-so is bothering me, and I need to call my grandma, and I need to tell her." And from that conversation, she called her grandma, and we found that indeed she had been terribly abused. And this was a young person that was marginally mentally cognitively disabled, a very easy picking. And we find that a lot of our kids that are vulnerable like that are the victims of abuse. But if we can give them that message, that there are people that they can tell and share when things are not going right in a safe place to a person that they have created a trusting relationship for, and we can stop that from happening, then I think it is our responsibility and our due diligence. And again, thank you very much for being persistent. Any questions? Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a question, but just a comment. I wanted to echo your sentiment to thank you for coming out. Thank you for your courage. This is definitely hard, but it's very important. And there is nothing more important than protecting children. And your continued persistence and courage is how we're going to continue to do that and fight for that, so that others don't have to experience the trauma. And as we know, sexual abuse is a lifelong traumatic ramification. So just thank you again for your continued persistence in this.
Any last? Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to reiterate what Senator Farnsworth said. There are not many mandates that I'm going to be supportive of this year. This is one. And Madam Chair, I know the motion and the original thought is to lay this one over, but I know we can still have this in our jurisdiction and include it in an omnibus bill, even if we pass it on. And I think this is a bill that is important enough that I would like to see us pass it so that it is in the control of Senator Champion, that he could potentially talk to the Finance Committee, talk to people, and let this I think it's important enough that it could go standalone. So I would like the chair to consider potentially passing this on to Finance so that the author has control of his bill.
Thank you, Senator Rarick, for that suggestion. Senator Champion and Senator Farnsworth, are you Are you in agreement with that if we were to move this on to finance?
Yes.
All right. So members, with that, all in favor of moving Senate File 1981 on to finance, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody object? Senator Champion and Senator Farnsworth, 1981 will be moved on to our Finance Committee. Thank you so much, and thank you, April. Ms. Kane. All right, next, Senator Farnsworth. Senate File 2392. And then we'll end with Senator Verbaden, Omar Verbaden, with Senate File 2010, just to remind myself. He doesn't have any, does he have a Okay, here we go. Senator Farnsworth, would you like to make a motion to move your bill?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And you don't have any amendments?
No, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Then why don't you go ahead and introduce your bill and tell us a little bit about it?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee, for hearing Senate File 2392, a bill that provides additional long-term facilities maintenance, or LTFM, funding for active schools that are on the National Historic or Register of Historic Places. As far as we've been able to research, there are only 2 school districts that have buildings on that list. One of them is my home district with Hibbing High School. The Hibbing High School is a treasure for the state. It's a beautiful building that opened in 1924, and at the time cost $3.9 million to build, largely funded by mining companies. And just as a side note, it was funded by the mining company as a way to entice the city to actually move. So Hibbing is possibly the only city in the state that moved from one location to another. It features a 1,800-seat auditorium with Belgian crystal chandeliers. It has the same stage that Bob Dylan gave his first musical performance on, and the gymnasium that I believe Kevin McHale practiced. It has one of the first indoor school pools in the nation, greenhouse, marble finishes, terracotta statues, 60-foot-long mural, frescoes on the walls, and so on. A historic building like this presents challenges to maintain. The bill in front of you today would give the local school district operating a historic school the opportunity, with the approval of the elected school board, to receive additional LTFM funds. With me to share more, with your indulgence, Madam Chair, is the Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Aldrich, and the School Facilities Director, Tyler Glad.
Thank you, Senator Farnsworth. Mr. Aldrich, Superintendent Aldrich, if you would like to state your full name for the record, and you may begin.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Senator Farnsworth. Thank you to the committee for this opportunity to testify in favor of File 2392, Senate File 2392. My name is Richard Aldrich. I am the Superintendent of the Hibbing Schools. On behalf of the Hibbing School Board, citizens of Hibbing, and our entire school community, I wish to express our sincere gratitude for the consideration in promoting and advocating for Senate File 2392. Committee members, the Hibbing High School is over 100 years old. We'll be celebrating our 100-year anniversary in the summer of 2024 with an all-class reunion. The building was construction actually began on the building in 1920 and was dedicated in January of 1924, so we'll be turning 100 here very soon. The architectural masterpiece was built and fully funded through a generous investment made by mining companies. So, as Senator Farnsworth described, the city of Hibbing, the current location of the city of Hibbing, actually moved 1 mile south to open area for additional mining. So I would love to show you some photographs of that being drawn by buildings being drawn by oxen and donkeys and other equipment, moving homes, moving libraries, just a monumental task to move a city. But again, that ore that was underneath the ground there was very valuable. And at that time, the mining company built this beautiful, it's referred to as the castle in the woods. And it truly, from the outside, lighted up at night, it looks like you're entering a castle. It's listed on the National Register of Historic Buildings, and it's truly a source of pride for our community. Many school districts in the state and around us have vacated their current buildings in favor of building new, modern sites. That's not an option for us in Hibbing. My taxpayers, my community, my constituents that I work with, students, staff, they value the high school. They are not looking to tear down and build new. They want to maintain our current facility and maintain it at the level that it has been maintained for the last 100 years. Again, our community recognizes that the maintenance of this historical site brings added cost. Senate File 2392 would provide the additional local levy. Again, I think that's important to note that this is not, does not have any fiscal tail for the state of Minnesota. This is truly a local levy, local school board decision, if we were given this additional authority, to choose when would be the right time to potentially levy our taxpayers for added projects. We've recently put $4 million into our auditorium, which I believe my ground supervisor will talk about here soon. We make continuous investments in the building each year, in the bones of the building, the roof, tuck pointing, sidewalks. It's a different scenario in comparison. I'll just use any school district in Minneapolis, St. Paul as an example. LTF funding and that ability to levy taxpayers is based on student count. It does not take into consideration historical statuses of buildings. It does not take into consideration age of buildings. So the dollar amount that I get as compared to a high school in anywhere here in Minnesota or in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, it's the same dollar amount. And if you're maintaining a building that's 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, your costs are much different than a building that's 100 years old, let alone a building that has art treasures within it that we must maintain under that National Historic Registry status. This important legislative initiative will assist the Hibbing Public Schools with increasing our maintenance costs and will support the nearly 2,600 students and staff that we serve. I respectfully ask that you consider supporting Senate File 2392 for the future of the Hibbing schools and the students, staff, and community that we are proud to serve. And again, I thank you, Madam Chair and committee members, and especially Senator Farnsworth for his help and allowing me to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. And next we have Mr. Glad. If you would please state your full name for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Farnsworth, for the introduction. Good morning, Madam Chair, Kunesh, Education Finance Committee members. My name is Tyler Glad. I'm the Buildings and Grounds Supervisor for the Hibbing Schools. First of all, thank you for allowing us to speak this morning regarding this bill, Senate File 2392. It is an honor and a privilege. For the past 100 years, the Hibbing School District has made it a priority to maintain our 400,000 square foot historic high school, also known as the Castle in the Woods. If any of you were to ever or have ever toured the building, you would see and understand exactly where we're coming from. It is a place that once the school day is complete, hosts community events, athletics, concerts, and community education classes, just to name a few. I must say it can be very challenging, humbling, with taking care and maintaining a facility with this stature. With it being on the National Historic Registry, it brings an added amount of responsibility, challenges, and expectations from many different groups outside the district. From the auditorium that rivals theaters in New York, the hand-painted murals throughout the building dating back to 1913, our 1900 pipe Barton organ, and the solid grand entry, main entry, are just a few of the highlights that visitors come to see on a daily basis. Last year, we almost had 5,000 visitors that toured that building alone from all over the country. However, what the ordinary visitor does not see is the maintenance that takes place and needs to take place in order to keep the condition that it has been kept in. The 400,000 square foot of roof surface that needs to be maintained, tuck pointing of 100-year-old exterior brickwork, and of course, indoor air quality are just several of the areas that passing this LTFM bill will benefit us moving forward. Again, the Hibbing High School fortunately has been very well taken care of by all of the staff holding the position of the Buildings and Grounds Supervisor, along with many others that have been involved in the district. Our current school board and administration also plan to make sure that we follow that same dedication to this building as well as all of the other schools in our district for at least the next 100 years. By passing this bill, it would give the district the flexibility to strictly focus a set amount of additional LTFM dollars on maintaining our high school. The distribution of those supplemental LTF funds is an economical, long-lasting way to address all of this facility's unique needs for generations to come without displacing and neglecting the needs of our other 4 school sites in the district. We encourage you to please support this bill, Senate File 2392. Thank you.
Members, any questions? Senator Swedzinski.
Thanks, Senator, for bringing this forward. I have a comment and a question. So, Superintendent, you said LTF is based on attendance with no consideration whatsoever, the current funding and how we fund long-term facilities maintenance. Is that an accurate statement?
Maybe I could allow, we also have my business manager, Mr. Alex Kazar here. Is that a, oh, I apologize, Madam Chair.
Sorry, would you repeat that, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator, I have my business manager, Mr. Alex Kazar here, that could talk specifically about how LTFM works, if that would be acceptable.
Yeah, I would. I think I'd like to hear, like, just a minute, please.
Okay, yep, thank you.
Welcome to the committee. If you would state your full name for the record, and then you can respond if you're ready for that.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee. Thanks for letting me speak. My name is Alex Kazar. I am the business manager for Hibbing Public Schools. And addressing the question about the age, that is, it's like a lot of funding formulas. It's complicated formulas, but it's $380 per pupil. And then it does factor in the age of, the average age of all the facilities in the district. I think it's on line 2.12. It addresses them.
Thank you for that.
Yep, members, I'll just read that so everybody knows what we're talking about. So long-term facility maintenance revenue equals the greater of one, the sum of $380 times the district's adjusted pupil units times the lesser of one, or the ratio of the district's average building age to 35 years, plus the cost approved by the Commissioner for Indoor Air Quality, Fire Alarm Suppression, Asbestos Abatement, and Projects. And I think that's what we're talking about right now. Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, Madam Chair. Because it's, like you said, funding for schools is complicated, and every formula is complicated. I just, thank you for providing this as well. I don't see the photo of Dylan on the stage in this packet, but nonetheless, I'm looking forward to it. I'm reading that at my leisure. And, but the thing that really strikes me is, and I support the bill, but the thing, at one time in our nation's history, we built these so-called castles because we wanted to show the immigrant populations coming to America that education is important and it's vital, and welcome to America specifically the range, and all the minors' kids, and we're gonna build you this edifice that you're gonna be so proud to enter, and everything you learn in this building is gonna be this amazing thing, and we're gonna all move forward, and now, and I don't remember if it was this committee or not, but this week we found out that we're repurposing a Target store somewhere, and that's where we're at today, is we're repurposing Target stores and sending our kids to school in an old Target store instead of what Hibbing can be so proud of preserving. Do you know offhand, Senator, what the other second building is on the national? Is it the Duluth Central?
Senator Farnsworth?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator. Duluth Central is on the historic registry, but it is no longer an active school building. The only other buildings that we could find were 3 buildings in Winona School District.
Oh.
And then actually the school for, either the school for the deaf or the school for the blind has 1 building, I can't remember which one, that is actively in use. It's on the National Historic Registry. So those are the only 5 buildings, but only 2 of them are actually independent school districts.
Yeah.
Senator Swedzinski?
Yeah, and I don't know if any schools we've built in the last generation will end up someday on the National Historic Register. So anyways, thank you for bringing this bill forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Gustafson has a question or comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment. I support this. This is great. I mean, people go to high school here. This is beautiful. So, yeah. But again, Senator Swedzinski and I are both history teachers, so you probably had our vote early on. Thank you for bringing this.
Senator Cruan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think typically I would be cautious about isolating out particular school districts, but this seems like a very unique situation where your hands are tied to a large extent. You have to do certain things under the law based on the historic nature of this. And even if that weren't a requirement, I think you would choose to do that anyway. And so I think it does warrant kind of separating these small number of buildings out, but larger, I would like to see more flexibility statewide for long-term facility maintenance and give school boards across the state more flexibility given their unique situations in their districts with their facilities to be able to make those decisions at a local level. But that's a discussion for another day, but in this particular circumstances, I would support the bill. Thanks.
I have a question, Senator Farnsworth, and maybe your guests that are here, the experts. What exactly would you be needing to do to bring the school up to like a healthy environment? So what would you actually have to do to this building?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's not that we have to bring it up to be certain health standards. It's just the maintenance of it. We've had several renovations in the past 30 years. I think 1970, we replaced all the water piping throughout the building, got rid of lead water lines and replaced with copper. 1991, we put addition on the south side, which you can see in your booklet, which is a gymnasium, swimming pool, band room. The most recent one was in 2010, when we upgraded all of the heating systems, classrooms, and of course HVAC systems. So we're looking at these funds just more or less in order to keep maintaining our building, just because costs are so high. And with a building unique as this, for instance, to put a simple camera in a hallway, a new one, our corridor walls are 24 inches thick. They're not your standard 8 to 10 inches thick, so it's added costs, added labor. Same thing with the floors. Our floors are some floors are 36 inches thick. It's just more to just keep maintaining it on what we have and keep it in the shape it's in.
And I would imagine that being the unique materials that were used and the way that it was built, there needs to be certain craftsmen, and I don't know, I guess I'm asking that. As a historic site, are there regulations about who can do the work? They have to be, like tradesmen that are really specifically trained in historic materials and sites?
Yes. In particular, for instance, this last summer we had, there's a the auditorium we have, that was redone about 4 years ago. It was a $4 million project. All of the paintings, all of the murals, as you can see in the auditorium, had to be touched up, and they had to go through the Historical Society to make sure they exactly matched. I mean, there was no, they spent weeks coming in and testing the paint, testing the colors, getting the right mixture, just because it's not something you can hire Joe Blow off the street, and say, come in and touch us up for us.
Thank you. I don't know that anyone here, I don't know, maybe Senator Lucero's been around for a while, and Senator Rick, you've been here about as long as I have. I was elected just at the time that they ended, that they were finishing up the renovations across the street at the Capitol. And there were lots of touch-up work being done on the painting and the murals and those sort of things. So we saw the expertise and the practice of just that alone. I can only imagine looking at that around, in a cycle to keep those preserved must be a real challenge as well. So,
Yes.
Yeah, reminiscent. All right, anybody else? Senator Farnsworth, final words.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the committee for being easier on me that I am often on you when your bills come up. And I just want to point out that not only do we have students that get to go here, but right about here on the second floor is near where my office is when I go back to work. And so I get to work there, and so I appreciate the committee's support on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Farnsworth, and thank all of you for traveling down here. I hope you get home before any weather hits you. And with that, members, let's see, Senator Farnsworth, would you like to renew your motion to move this on for possible inclusion?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we are on to Senator Umur Verbaden, and she will be presenting Senate File 2010.
Madam Chair.
Welcome, and just like to wish you a happy birthday, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And so when you are ready, would you like to present, would you like to make your motion first?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to move Senate File 2010 for possible inclusion in the omnibus.
Thank you. And when you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. This is Senator Maye Quade's bill. I know she's very passionate about this issue and is unable to be here with us today, so I'm happy to step in on her behalf. This is a bill that will put parameters around active shooter drills and simulations that are conducted in our public schools. I'm sure most folks are familiar with, the stories of active shooter drills, maybe from children, or we have many teachers on this committee, or if you've heard that from your constituents. And really, most of our Minnesota public schools, I should say, are conducting these drills throughout the year as a part of a statutory requirement to run 5 lockdown drills per year. So they've really become commonplace, and they can be done in a variety of ways. There are some, tabletop exercises. Sometimes there's full-scale simulations, and there have been ones that involved things like fake blood, pellet guns, and law enforcement sweeps. And these full-scale simulations or drills can really be traumatizing for our students and teachers and everyone in the building. So this is why the bill is crafted to set up a culturally appropriate and evidence-based criteria and supports for our students. Senate File 2010 was born out of the work of the Student Advisory Council of the group Sandy Hook Promise, and our testifiers will share more about that. The language that you have before you today really is a direct result of those students direct advocacy with their peers. And students really do want the opportunity to be involved in this and to take charge of their safety. They want their peers to be included and welcomed in this work, and they want the opportunity to learn how to prevent violence by recognizing early warning signs and taking action. And this bill doesn't add any drills or even prescribe how the district needs to run them. It's really just some basic supports that are being set up here. It's you know, if you're gonna run an active shooter drill, here's what you should consider, and here's the support that you should provide to our students to ensure their mental and physical well-being. So I'll just go through some of the main elements of the bill. There's a definition of active shooter drill versus active shooter simulation, and then restricts those simulations to off hours. Parental notification is required at least 24 hours ahead of time. There's an opportunity for parents to opt an E through 12 child out of an active shooter drill, and an opportunity for parents of students grades 9 through 12 to participate in a simulation if they desire to do so. There's also criteria for active shooter drills, that they're excessive, developmentally appropriate, culturally aware, trauma-informed, inclusive. It requires a post-drill debrief, right, so that our students and teachers can kind of process, you know, what took place, what questions folks have. 1 hour of violence prevention training is also required. That's age-appropriate, culturally aware, trauma-informed, and then just, you know, throughout this, students, staff, and parents having the opportunity to weigh in on the operation and just the efficacy of the drills. So I will end it there, and I'll ask our testifiers to share more information about how we've gotten to this place.
Thanks very much, Senator. First, we have virtually Ms. Kemp. If you would like to join us, there you are. Please state your full name and for the record, and then you may begin your testimony.
Yes, good morning. My name is Calandria Simpson Kemp. Madam Chair Kunesh, Vice Chair Gustafson, Ranking Member, Minority Member Rarick, and members of the committee. I am Calandria Kemp. I'm the State Policy Manager for Sandy Hook Promise. On behalf of Sandy Hook Promise, including our more than 37,000 grassroots supporters across Minnesota, thank you for the consideration of SF 2010. A national nonprofit formed and led by several family members whose loved ones was killed at Sandy Hook Elementary School on December the 14th, 2012. Our mission is to educate and empower youth and adults to prevent violence in their homes, schools, and communities. We believe that every school undertaking an active shooter drill should provide students grades 6 through 12 at least 1 hour or 1 standard class period of violence prevention training annually. SF 2010 does this. Even better, it helps schools identify high-quality, no-cost training options. And should a school want to go with the vendor who charges for their trainings, there are federal grants available to help cover the cost. This includes grants available through the Bipartisan Stop School Violence Act. This grant source is managed by the Bureau of Justice Assistance. In closing, SF 2010 balances student safety with the importance of students' mental health and wellness. Sandy Hook Promise thanks the sponsors of this committee for the opportunity to speak to it. It is our wish for the students of Minnesota that they be safe in school and feel safe in their schools. SF 2010 is a clear step in that right direction. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you for joining us today. Next, we have Ms. Zhao. If you would please state your full name for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Kunesh, Vice Chair Gustafson, and Ranking Minority Member Rarick, and members of the committee. My name is Michelle Zhao. I am a Minnesota resident, a supporter of Sandy Hook Promise, and I am also a parent of 3 children. My oldest child and my middle child have participated in active shooter drills since they were in kindergarten. And my youngest child, who is 4 years old, has not yet had to go through one of these drills. When done correctly, like any emergency preparedness drill, an active shooter drill can help teach students how to respond in the event of an intruder on campus. For an active shooter drill to be done correctly, however, deliberate steps should be taken to ensure that it is not traumatizing to the students. SF 2010 does this by ensuring that active shooter drills and active shooter simulations are clearly distinguished. This is important because no matter how you approach it, simulations put children at risk of being traumatized. I want my kids to be safe in school, but I do not want their mental health or their general well-being or that of any other Minnesota children to be damaged in the name of safety. SF 2010 is what Minnesota students and parents like me need. It is a well-rounded and thoughtful bill. It is a solid step in the right direction, and I am grateful to this committee for taking it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zhao. Members, any questions? Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, I appreciate the work and the concept behind the bill. I think if this were a bill strictly to say that we do not want the simulations in our schools, I think virtually everyone would be in full support of that. I do have a couple of concerns with a few of the things that are in the bill, in particular subdivision 6. And my first question on that is where we say that if they have a drill, then they have to have an hour. So state statute says they have to do 5. So does that mean they will have to do 5 hours, or do all 5 combine and they just do the 1 hour of violence prevention as this is written?
Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Rarick. I'm just reading through this to ensure that I'm understanding the question and as it's drafted. It does say at least 1 hour or 1 standard class period of violence prevention training annually. I'd understand that to be just 1 hour per year.
Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To me, it's not as clear because it says if they're conducting an active shooter drill, then, to me, it would seem like if they do a drill, then they have to do an hour of training, and they're gonna have to do 5 drills, so then it seems like, I guess I would like clarification on that, if it's meant to be an hour for the year. I do, it's another thing that we're asking our schools to do, the 5 drills, and like I said, I would in full support of keeping that as drills and not simulations. I agree 100% that trying to do an active shooter simulation in our schools is not the right thing to be doing. So, but some of the other provisions in here, what we're asking our schools to do, I think potentially a little more conversation work as we go. I think it's something that schools can do on their own if they want, and having us mandate that every school throughout the state has to do it is a struggle. But the concept is a good one. I appreciate that we're looking at our kids' safety and also trying to make sure we're not doing damage in the process. But sometimes we can go a step too far, and I think with some of these provisions, we're maybe asking a bit more than is necessary. And I guess one of the other concerns I have by allowing students or families to opt out, I don't think we want to have them opt out of a fire drill or a tornado drill. We want them to have the understanding of what they are supposed to do if the situation arises. So to opt out of a drill actually could potentially put them at risk if something were to happen. They wouldn't know what to do, and then the teacher or others who are responsible for getting kids to their safe location are going to have kids that don't know, and I think there could be some potential drawbacks to having kids opt out. So I think again, banning the simulations is the right step. The rest of the bill I have some concerns with. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other, Senator Westland, you had a question or comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of comments. First of all, I support the bill, and I just want to preface my comments by saying that I think it's a move in the right direction. To Senator Rarick's point, what I read subdivision 6 to say is that if a school does active shooter drills, if they do them at all, they have to do 1 hour per year. So it doesn't say after they do it. Now, there's a different place where they're debriefing kids after there's an active school drill. It does provide for a debrief period after the drill itself. That's different. That's to help kids understand what they were just doing. But the violence prevention piece is just a 1 hour per year, which in my view may not be enough, but that's a whole different story. In the state of Minnesota, we do 5 active shooter drills per year, which means pre-K to 12th grade, kids are doing 70 of these. Our littler kids don't process this information well, and for them, trying to determine the difference between what's pretend and what's real, their bodies don't distinguish that stress. I think certainly moving to a drill versus a simulation is important, but there is also data and research that is being done to suggest that the drills actually aren't all that effective, number one. One of the reasons is because 91% of school shooters are students at the school. They're going through the drill. They know what the response is going to be from teachers and staff and so on, so they know quite intimately what's going to be happening, and they can incorporate those into their plans. What we also know, however, is in terms of prevention, which is really where we should be focusing our efforts, 87% of school shooters were experiencing a crisis prior to the shooting. 80% were suicidal prior to the shooting. 78% leaked their plans ahead of time. And so the violence prevention piece in my mind is critically important. And I think the training, there's the Violence Project is a non-profit, nonpartisan organization locally that's doing some actually really interesting research on this issue. And they have talked about crisis response teams and crisis response training that anyone really can do. It doesn't require special skills. And some of it involves simply engaging with people. That the act of somebody walking into a building where they are engaged, where they are greeted, like there are things that staff, teachers, et cetera, can be trained in as well. But when we see data that shows that there is a lot of advance warning, that there are kids who are in crisis and so on, while we need to make sure we're taking the steps to protect kids, I would say training the adults more so on what they need to do. I also want to make sure that we are focusing on preventing these from happening to begin with. And again, the violence prevention piece, and this is so important. I'm so grateful to Senator Maye Quade for bringing this bill forward. There are other things I think we need to be doing in terms of making sure our schools are prepared in the horrible event that something like this were to occur.
Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd like to echo a little bit of what Senator Westland said. Almost all of these cases, there's some sort of warning. And so I like, depending on how it's interpreted, I like the hour of instruction. You know, we need to be telling kids, if one of your friends is talking about doing this, or, you know, if you hear this, you need to tell somebody, sort of like what we talked about earlier with Erin's Law. You need to tell somebody. In 19 of the 20 largest mass shootings in U.S. history, 19 of them, there were warning signs where somebody told their therapist, somebody told their friends. The only one that there wasn't warning signs, I believe, was the Fort Hood shooting that really nobody saw coming. So there's almost always warning signs, and so I do agree with that 1 hour, at least 1 hour. So there's another mandate. So I guess I'm turning a little bit, but I sort of share the same concerns as Senator Rarick, that if we're allowing kids to opt out, I mean, I've tried to get 25 kids to line up to go to lunch, And that's tough enough. And, you know, if they're not doing the drill to get ready in case there happens to be some sort of an emergency, then there's going to be some that don't know what to do, which I think would make it a little bit more dangerous. So, I agree with, I think with most of this. I'm just concerned about allowing some kids to opt out. Again, like Senator Eric said, we wouldn't allow them to opt out of a fire drill or a tornado drill. But again, thank you for bringing this. Thank you for bringing this bill.
Thank you again. You know, and I look through this bill through the eyes of a past teacher, and subdivision 4 states that a school district charter school must provide notice of a pending active shooter to every student's parent or legal guardian. I think that's really important. I think it speaks to that necessity for relationships, trusting relationships with the teacher, with the school administration, and with the parents. I'm sure every parent their worst nightmare is to send their child off in the morning and know that they're not going to see their child when they come home. Gun violence and homicides in our schools has surpassed car accidents. It is the #1 reason for deaths in with our children. And that is an awful, awful statistic. And it means that we do need to work together within our community to ensure that our students are safe and that we can do some of these preventative measures. I think 1 hour is a bare minimum when we look at any kind of violence prevention. And it goes, you know, it can go hand in hand in so many ways. When we think about how we incorporate cross-curricular, the messaging that we want, whether, you know, I could do it very easily in my media center by incorporating literacy and literature into those sort of things. Play acting and those sort of examples are very easy to incorporate. I think it's also really important the time after the drill for teachers to get their class back in order, to debrief, to give those kids a moment to calm themselves, talk a little bit about what they're feeling in that moment. As a team teacher in my school, especially at the middle school, we would have these drills, and I knew which kids were going to be in my media center, in my library at that time. And we had scoped it out, and we had, really prepared the kids, like where they would go and how they would sit and what's going to happen when that door is rattled. The door that we locked, somebody's going to walk by and rattle every single door to make sure that it's locked. Somebody's going to walk around the exterior and look through every window to see if they can see us, to make sure that our kids are safe. That freaks a kid out. When they hear that rattle of the door, I can tell you, I see their little bodies tensing up, and they're like, oh, is somebody there? Is there a really person out there? So we need that time to help our kids get themselves centered again for what's going to happen in the rest of the day. And these were drills where maybe kids were in the school and we could put them in a safe, comfortable place that was going to give them comfort. But we also had reverse drills where maybe kids were outside, or maybe we had to leave the building to be safe, get them out the back door and down the hill and to the local church. This isn't just sit down, put your head down on your desk, and wait for the bell to say this is over. There's a lot that goes into this, and definitely, I, for one, believe that this is something important that we need to work with our schools and our students and our families on. So I really appreciate, Senator, you stepping in to present this bill for Senator Maye Quade. I know that had she been here, she would speak just as passionately as you would. And so with that, do we have any more comments or questions? Senator Umu Verbatim, would you like to make your final statement?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really appreciate the conversation, and I'll make sure that Senator Maye Quade can follow up with committee members on some of those questions around violence prevention training, the opt-out. And I think, what's really important about this bill is that it's been informed by our students themselves, right? Saying, here's what we want to ensure that we're safe, putting some guardrails in and really making sure that whatever we do in our schools is evidence-based. So I'm grateful to Senator Maye Quade for bringing forward the bill, and think that our committee will come up with something that will work really well for our students and teachers and schools across the state. Thank you.
And so with that, Senator Umu Verbatim renews her motion to lay over Senate File 2010. And with that, members, we are adjourned. Oh, members, just one quick announcement. We will not be meeting as a committee down here on Tuesday, but DFL members watch for some information about where and when we'll be meeting that morning. Thank you.